Good afternoon. We are about to start a project during our technology classes. Continuing the theme of digital citizenship, we're going to be making public service announcements by using Comic Life to create a poster or a short comic. I'd like to walk through some of the details of our assignment with you so that we can be sure to be on the same page as we begin and work through this project. So the first thing is the purpose of this project is to communicate the most important concepts of digital citizenship and safety. I'd like you to attempt to do so in the format of a poster or a short comic, keeping it as exciting as possible. Now, these public service announcements are intended for publication at Centennial Senior Public School, and therefore their aim is at students in grades 6 to 8. Now, it may be that we don't put all of these up around the school. However, I would like you to be prepared that they may be presented, so certainly put forth your best effort. Now, as you're creating this, we would like to put the most critical elements of digital citizenship, and therefore try to focus on the ones that we discussed during our digital passport unit over the last couple of weeks. So that would be the concepts of cyberbullying, internet privacy, cell phone use, and effective searching. Now, the materials for this project are quite simple. We will be creating posters or comics, and we'll be using Comic Life, which is a program on the computers, to create these. You'll gather most of your image from the web. However, you can use other programs to create your own or edit the images from the web if you wish, but you certainly don't have to. A final option is to use your own image or those of your classmates. However, I would like you to be 100% certain that any images that are used do have the full permission from all subjects in the photo. Now, as we create our Comic Life posters and comics, we're going to have several classes to complete this assignment. Day 1 is today. And on today's date, I'd like you to focus on learning the program, perhaps beginning to gather some images, doing some exploring, and figuring out what exactly it is that you would like to create and how you think you might go about creating it. During that process, I would like you to think about and discuss with your classmates what criteria would make a powerful public service announcement. Next week, on our second day, come to class with some additional images, so that is certainly your homework for the week, but also with a little bit of a mental plan for your media production. On this day, we will be discussing as a class the success criteria, and those will be co-constructed and given to you on that day to ensure that you can be successful as you complete your project. You will have the better part of day 2 to work on your project, and all of day 3 will be for completing the project and then submitting it electronically to me. As I've already mentioned, the success criteria for this project will be co-constructed together next week, so begin thinking about that. But as a starting point, these are some of the ones that I would be suggesting. Certainly the images that you choose should reflect the topic that you're choosing and support it. The communication here is not just with words, but also with the images that you choose. The content or the digital citizenship areas that you choose to discuss should be reflective of the things that we have discussed in the last couple of weeks in class. You certainly can discuss other elements, but the focus should be on what we've been looking at. Your audience, as I've mentioned, is middle school students, and so what you create should be aimed at that audience, and it should be clear from what you're creating that that is who you're expecting to read your poster. The final element to consider is that all images that you choose to use from the web should be properly cited, and therefore as you gather those images, please do take note of the website that they came from, likely by copying and pasting a link to that website. This is the program Comic Life. I'd like to walk you through some of the features of this program so that as you're beginning to explore and play today, you have a general sense of how the program works. Your screen may look slightly different than mine, as I'm working with the Macintosh version at home. The one at school may look a little bit different than this. The basic layout, however, is exactly the same. In the center, you have your workspace or your canvas. To the right, you have the template options. Down to the bottom right are all of your photos. And at the bottom are your comic elements that you might choose to add. Your first step is most certainly going to be to find a layout. It appears as though there are just a few. However, if you change the menu up at the top, you'll see that there are many different pages of layouts possible. And as you scroll through, the appearance does change quite a bit. So I'm going to go with one of these. I think I like this one, so I'll just drag it over and it fills in. If you didn't like this, you can certainly delete boxes, move things around. Simply by clicking on the box and using the handles on the corners, you can move the boxes around, reshape them, twist them, whatever is going to work for you. In order to rotate, the handle for rotation is always in the top at the center. Sometimes it's colored. The PC version, it usually is. You may choose to then add in your title, or it might be your preference to go straight to the photos. I'm going to start by adding in a title. So I will grab my funky lettering down here at the bottom. Just above it, I actually do have regular textual narrating, but I'm going to grab the funky narrating and bring it up to the top here. It looks very small initially. I'll give myself a title. Instead of digital safety, my demonstration is going to be animal safety. And I will have an initial layout there. The little blue dots will allow me to resize that title and lay it out on my page however I see fit. The dots do modify the title one corner at a time and even the middle. If you wish to modify using the typical handles, you can click twice and then use the regular resizing handles. Now from here, I'm going to add in some photos. The first one I think I'll grab is this one here of a goat. So I'll add my goat in just by dragging it over and placing it on the box. And I'll grab in a couple more. And this is where we have an opportunity to look at the way photos are handled within Comic Life. What's interesting is normally we would click these boxes and resize the photo, and that does indeed work. However, depending on whether you have the box selected or the photo, which we get by double clicking, and you'll notice the box goes orange, as I change the size of the photo within the box, I'm actually getting a cropping effect. If I click away from the box, and here we can see the photo, and just get the box, I can change the size of the box and once again crop. So there are actually two selections on each box, one for the photo and one for the actual box. We'll drag the title down here into the middle, and you'll notice that we, by default within this, this particular layout, we have these tiny little boxes here. These can be used for photo labels. However, I'm going to recommend that for our project, those actually be used for citation of the image that you have put by copying and pasting from the web. Now, we will not review copying and pasting from the web because I imagine that you all know how to do that and you can help each other if need be. So, next on our list would be to add in some of the comic elements such as speech bubbles. Again, like everything else in Comic Life, I can just drag it up, do my typing, and within the speech bubbles, we can actually drag the arrow to whatever we want it to point to. It seems to be being a little finicky for me. There we are. And we can resize the text as well. You would imagine that resizing the speech bubble, let's put it down here, and you'll notice that the point actually doesn't really move. Resizing the speech bubble does not actually change the font. In order to do that, we want to use the bigger and smaller icons up at the top. Now, the next interesting piece is the ability to customize anything that is up here. And I've saved this till the end because it's one of the most exciting pieces, but whatever has been selected can be altered by using this style button. When I click there, I get all of the different font styles. They may show up in a long list over here, or in this version, they show up over here to the left. So I can change my style at any point to be something a little bit more exciting and ideally representative of the content of my poster. So I actually think this is a good title here. That same button, however, will work if I click on the box. You'll notice that the styles change to match the boxes, and if we click up at the top, we see them again. So I can get the scroll box, the little window there, any of the different shapes that I might like. This will also work on the photo. So if I double click, get that orange box, I can apply a filter to the photo. So we could make it a negative, we could make it black and white. There are lots of different filters that can be applied. Finally, if we just simply click on the background of the page, we can also add in a background style as well. It will certainly also work on your speech bubbles. You can change those. You may have to redo the font. So those are the different elements of Comic Life. Certainly you can explore them and work with them as you see fit. If you need additional pages, here's your additional page button. It may be that it's down at the bottom on the other version. And if you have to navigate the computer to look for photos, do keep in mind that you can navigate through the different parts of your computer by clicking the My Computer button. If you do have any questions or have any trouble, certainly work together, and I can answer any next week during our second session.